Hi, so we're just doing, interviewing you guys because you've had such an amazing success with preventing VAP for 1,420 days.
About that, yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's great. So what do you do personally? How are you part of this success story, and what do you do to make sure you continue to be part of that?
We ensure adequate oral care through the day and through the night, making sure that patients' airways are kept clear, particularly maintaining oral hygiene. I feel like is one thing that we exceptionally excel at, and it's not just like nursing focused. We definitely get our ancillary staff in on that, and we partner with them. We try and bulk care together, particularly overnight. So that way no opportunity is missed for oral hygiene. So I feel like that is one of our biggest success stories, I feel like, is maintaining the oral hygiene.
Phenomenal. So what do you guys do as a team to kind of support the effort?
We try and time things together. So on a Q4 level, we try and give oral hygiene and positioning. So if I'm working with my ancillary staff, we'll try and make sure that we're going in at the same time, that either me or them is performing oral hygiene and that we're keeping an elevated head of bed during positioning changes. So it's definitely a team effort. We remind each other, and I feel like our success rate with that is, a great thing for the VAP rate.
Have you had any challenges dealing with families, or how do you make sure that they're involved in the process and know what you're doing?
So right away, we do have PFUs available, which is great, that give parents an idea of why we do oral hygiene, and as long as you tell them that it's to commit to safety of their child, they're all for it. I've never seen a parent, once you explain that you're preventing them from getting an infection that could worsen their situation, that they would ever say no to that.
Do you ever have families or even the kids that mess with the lines and you're always having to readjust? Or
Yeah.
are there some of the challenges that you find just from...
Definitely, yeah. Especially kids that open their own airways, like they're open their own tubing. It's something, but, just being diligent with our alarms. We're one of the few units, in fact, the only unit that I know of that receives pages for ventilator alarms. As far as I know. So those pages get us to respond quicker to, especially with the echoing hallways, sometimes it's hard to tell which direction an alarm could be coming from. So having that, direct access of who's actually alarming allows us to close the circuit faster.
Then you're receiving the alarms on like the vitals and everything on your ASCOM phone, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's right. I think you are the only unit that's set up that way.
Yeah.
So with that information that you get with regards to alarms, because I just did a course for alarm safety, and alarm fatigue is real. So,
Yes.
So what's the rate of alarms, and how do you guys make sure that you don't get into that alarm fatigue?
So our rate of alarm can be high. One of the things that we can do is there's default parameters for a ventilator, and not every child or adolescent is default parameters. So working with respiratory and our flock to adjust those parameters to make sure that it's appropriate for the patient. I know that everyone on our unit knows the low minute volume alarm, which is a great alarm, but for children who don't have cuffed trachs or cuffed airways, that alarm could go off inappropriately. So adjusting that parameter to make sure that it's safe for the patient and also safe for us, so that way we're being alerted when necessary, is pretty key. So working with our RTs on that really is a great resource.
Good. I'm going to use that for my alarms too. Patty Perkins.
Yeah.
That's a great quote. So we talked about family. We talked about your role. You obviously, you guys have a great level of communication amongst your team, on the unit. Any advice you would give to other units, like how you guys come together and support this?
Just making sure that everyone kind of gets the idea of it. I mean, as long as everyone understands this is for patient safety, this might be a minor inconvenience, but it's a minor inconvenience for a greater good. And as long as everyone, understands that whole team dynamic comes together. Like you just realize, like, oh, you're both in the room. You're in the room with an RT. You're in the room with an SNA, and you realize that one of you could be doing oral care at that moment. It's a great opportunity. And then even touching base with families, because they too can perform oral care on their child, and when they do, it's a great success to us because we know that they're understanding and they are providing the care that's needed.
Phenomenal. Great response.
That's great. Yeah.
That's all I need. That's for everybody.